can start.
Hello. So first of all, thanks for the invitation. Today I will share with you the trajectory that we've been tracing in these last 13 years that we launched our group. I founded a group of companies that deals with data, material technology, and 3D printing. But around the connection between these three companies, there is one concept, the concept of space. So with this idea in mind, with the idea of informing spatiality, we started to work with data analytics. So how can we observe, what can we learn from the observation of the spatial dynamics? 3D printing and additive manufacturing and material technology. So how can we build at the end spaces that are born from the observation of spatial dynamics and include into the materiality of these spaces a new sense of ecology? With this idea in mind, we started to work with computer vision and machine learning to inform or collect information from the usage of space. And in this sense, this is everything that we do with Noumena data, understanding spatiality in its dynamic form, collecting information from pedestrians, accessibility in terms of mobility, micromobility, greener infrastructure, and so on. Then, in parallel, it's like a little bit Doctor Strange, the multiverse, no? This is my life, kind of. In parallel, we founded La Máquina, which is one of the largest factories for 3D printing of Europe. And in La Máquina, we started instead to test and explore materiality in terms of manufacturing, in terms of architectural components, mostly starting from the fit-out, what was easier to address as also as a market opportunity. But in parallel to these two stages, we went very deep in the exploration of material technology, starting to understand how to program not only robots or these digital eyes that work through computer vision and machine learning, but also materials. And embed into the materials this capacity of becoming an ecology by introducing specific material characteristics that I will explain you later on. La Máquina today has two locations, one in Barcelona in a factory of 1,000 square meters, and another factory that we just opened in Zaragoza in a larger space of 55,000 square meters. And in La Máquina, we've been exploring materials in terms of polymers, ceramic. We are now starting to implement also concrete application. But at the end, what we explored the most in La Máquina was, as you did today in your presentation, was a methodology, our own methodology to implement and convert all this technology into a new instrument for architects and designers to build spatiality, to build spaces. So our approach, similarly to what you did, is to gather geometries. Look at the connection when you start to work with data, collect information from complex geometry that our colleagues, architects, share to us, slide and segment this geometry into different components that at the end needs to match in terms of manufacturing with the domain of production that the machine can execute. And in all of this, the material is always the bridge between the digital and the physical domain. The material is the one that is informing how these geometries can be then fabricated in real life. And when we talk about material in 3D printing, many times we speak about circularity. Circularity for us is very important because we use waste material from, for instance, from bottles, from cups, etc., to create a cycle of production that allow us to. No, the video should be like this. No, it's cut it randomly. Okay, that allow us to fabricate components, shred the pieces when they reach the end of life, and bring them back into the manufacturing loop. But it's not only about using 3D printing and materials in terms of circularity. For us, it's also a topic of programming materials and encode into these materials, thanks to the company of PureTech, this sense of ecology that I was telling you before. So what it does, PureTech, it takes volcanic rocks, a mixture of volcanic rocks that has the capacity to absorb CO2, and convert this mixture into a series of products that maintain these characteristics, so eliminating the greenhouse gases from the atmosphere, and embed all these characteristics into a series of raw materials that we can use for manufacturing. So I spent very silently the last 8 years to prove the capacity of this material to absorb CO2, NOx, and VOx, and convince the industry to use it, which is very, very difficult, more difficult than building a factory of robotics. So we started to observe the material capacity to eliminate CO2 over time. We had to build a machine and lend the machine to one of the most important certification laboratory of Europe. So now they use this machine only for us. And we calculated the CO2 absorption, the cycle of CO2 elimination, the conversion of nitrogen oxide, volatile organic compound, etc., etc. But in parallel to this, we also started to work on the industrial implementation of this product into the existing manufacturing chain, because this is our obsession. I am obsessed with the industry. So I want to always try to feed into the industry a Trojan horse. Everything that you see is this attempt of placing Trojan horses into the industry in order to activate a change. So in this sense, we started to study how the paper industry works, to learn where to make space for our product to be introduced. We did the same with paint. So now we are creating a paint that absorbs CO2 thanks to the implementation of our product. We just painted the harbor of Barcelona with it. We work on textile, and if everything goes well today, we're going to launch a new collection of textiles, you will see, with Stella McCartney in June, and evidently in polymers. And polymers are the materials that we use, loop back into our factory of 3D printing for fabricating a lot of elements. So from now on, you will see the subdivision of our 3D printing activity across different scales, starting from the one of art, collectible art. And here we collaborated with one of our partners, that is Carmelo Zappura, an external reference, in somehow creating a metaphor for pure tech, using pure tech to create this collection of plants that use the logic of the phyllotaxis to maximize the surface that is in contact with the air, and therefore the capacity of absorption of our product. Then in Milan, we also brought another version of it that I honestly didn't want to do it, but we got a very cool project I'll show you later on out of this installation. And it was another scale of installation in Statale that we did implementing pure tech into the polymers. Again, in collectible art, last year in Milan, we presented this installation that is called Alwadigua, which instead use a human-machine interaction, having a robot fabricating over a curved mold a series of stripes, and then two fashion designers landing a piece of bioplastic that is knitted in between the two layers. With a beautiful story also connected to the territory of Alula and the Saudi region. Then in terms of furniture, we launched one of the first product 3D printed in the market for the company of Faro. And last year we got the first prize as the best material for construction in Spain with a ceiling system that integrate pure tech and a wooden polymer to create this very modular and customizable panel solution to substitute the different the traditional panels that you can see in the ceiling system. Then we did an installation for public furniture in Doha Biennale. Last year we inaugurated also the first public furniture in a public space of Barcelona, 3D printed, integrating also the material technology of PureTech, designed with the group of students from IaaC, or faculties from IaaC. And we started to do the next version in concrete, which is a new material that we will start to implement now. That was the meeting that I had at 10 today. But in that sense, the implementation of concrete for us also represents a shift in terms of market domain. So from the fit out, we go into the architectural scale, and we wanted to make a guiño, a little bit a reference to what we are going to do next. So these are some molds that we will use for pouring concrete, but we wanted just to put them in an exhibition as shelves for a furniture space, for interior design. In terms of exhibition spaces, one day we will correct the Venice Biennale naming, the title. But in terms of exhibition spaces, we did the Venice Biennale in 2021, 23, 25. And all the time we are bringing proposals that connect the three companies in one installation. This one of 2021 had PureTech integrated into this red thread that at the end represent this new sense of ecology that is expanding over the built environment. But we also implemented on top of it a series of sensors for computer vision and machine learning that were studying the generation of CO2 by all the different actors that are inhabiting a public space. Last year also in the Mobile World Congress we introduced an installation together with the amazing studio of Barcelona of domestic data streamers that are very interesting interaction designers, engineers that speculate over the role of data in society. And we fabricated with La Máquina an installation in PTG, which is a recycled plastic that was at the end used to generate this component. But speaking in terms of systems, which I think are much more interesting, we started also to explore the integration of other materials that comes probably from a pre-industrial scenario, like the one of clay and ceramic. And this was for the Smart City Expo 2020 something that we did for together with Cumeia. And in this sense, you can see in this facade a little bit also what the material teach you. So you can see that some of these pieces are a little bit bended on top, while others are not. And this is what we started to learn working on a material that is alive, that allow you also to intervene during the manufacturing. So Tony Cumeia, that is one of the most important ceramists of Europe, of the world, I would say, and he's Catalan. He came when we were printing, and he gave us a little hint, a small trick, to allow to close the geometry, avoiding this torsion of the material, and introducing just an internal wall that we could later on remove very easily with wire cutting. In 2021, we also won the Spanish pavilion at the Expo 20 of Dubai. This was designed by external reference, but for us was the very first opportunity to mix PureTech with 3D printing. It was the largest exhibition that was ever done in 3D printing back then. You need to think that in this year we were going in parallel between the market capacity of absorbing this solution and the technology capacity of printing them. So the technological development and the market implementation were running in parallel. So we were improving the machine while we were printing, a little bit kamikaze. But in this case, it was one of the projects where we had the most fun. 6.2 tons of material that we fabricated in maybe 3 months of work during the curfew also, which was the another point. It's an exhibition designed by Carmelo Zappula that at the end made us win also the best interactive installation of all the Venice Biennale, all the Dubai Expo. But for us, the challenging part was how to fabricate 1,446 different components, ship everything in Dubai, and install all the components without having to reprint something in Barcelona, which is something that we made. It was a very challenging work, but at the end was also proving this high possibility that is actually a trick that 3D printing offers to you when you need to speculate also on the redundancy or modularity and different of variation of the components. And learning from it, for the Natural History Museum that we just opened in London, the new exhibition space of the Natural History Museum, we produce 1,664 pieces, but these 1,664 pieces, we shipped 1,888, they belong to 50 families, which is much nicer and make you sleep at night, which is something also good to do. In this case, again, we went in parallel with the technological development. We were working with these machines from WASP. They were not really thought for this kind of production. 23 tons of ceramic are probably a Guinness in terms of what has been printed over here. But again, we created this back and forth also with the Commeia for the glazing. So we were fabricating, then placing all our pieces on a back wall to dry for 24 hours and shipping everything to Commeia for the firing. And this time we were mixing not only the standard machine that WASP has, but also re-engineering the machine, changing a little bit the nozzle, introducing the nozzle on a 6-axis robot, and then misplacing the fabrication all around the machine. In 2023, Stella McCartney selected PureTech among the 12 companies that are reshaping the world of fashion. And in a very Italian way, I convinced them also to hire La Máquina for fabricating the pavilion. We spent months speculating on the shape and the geometry of the space. We thought about Iceland, a beautiful landscape that we could create, until Anna Wintour saw the catwalk in Paris 2 weeks before the inauguration, and she said to Stella McCartney to do a market. So we had to redo all the project from zero. We fabricated at the end 12 different pods based on a super simple modular connection. But since it was too easy to do it in 2 weeks, we also added the variable of a new material. So we integrated a cellulose acetate material that is fabricated with an 80% of natural components. It comes from paper, substantially. And I almost killed all my workers in the factory because it started to generate a lot of smoke, and you can see a little bit from these beautiful images there is a smoke coming out of the polymer that, according to the material provider, was completely safe, but I can tell you that I don't think it was safe at all. And we changed now the grade of this product as well. But the interesting part is that we fabricated this piece also with the logic of disassembly. So it's not only about fabricating for creating an object, but also for disassembling the object and probably replace it somewhere else. And in fact, this piece then was shipped to New York for the Climate Pledge, which is the event of Amazon organized by Jeff Bezos, where we also had the possibility to speak with Jane Goodall. I don't know if you know Jane Goodall, but it's one of the best meetings that I ever had. Is you know Tarzan Jane? I am Tarzan, you are Jane? Tarzan? You know, it's Jane. Is the one that was studying the gorillas in the 30s, 50s, 60s. She's still alive. In any case, in 2020, we also did the first 3D printed store in the world. In this case, was 162 different components, which is not something nice, that we fabricated with these machines. So we started with this machine, just to tell you what I was mentioning before. We started with this machine where we had to pour by hand the material. And this machine had the capacity, more or less, of printing of 800 grams per hour, which means that if you could put 8 kilos there after 9 hours, more or less, or you are in front of the machine filling the material, or you lose your piece, which keeps you awake at night. But after, they developed another machine that could also keep 50 kilos of material on a side with an automated pump. And in the summer of 2020, we modified the sensor of this machine. Beautiful summer. We put a timer instead of a light sensor because the material, the polymer generates powder. So if you have a visual sensor and you have powder, you don't see anything. But it's a typical example on how you go by one. Also, I can go in detail, but whatever. Then, if you like the X-Men, this was our danger room. So this is where we tested all our superpowers in one unique space. It was 2022, and we did a space where we fit all the technologies that we had. So we did a 3D printed wall, hacking the machine in order to integrate a gradient effect between the layers directly in the printing. We applied pure tech not in the polymer but in the coating in order to avoid the locking of the machine when you have this kind of product embedded into the polymer. But on the ceiling, we implemented another technology that I will explain you in a second. So this was one of the pictures of our factory. That normally is this incredibly ever-changing landscape of pieces that are fabricated all the time. So there is not one day that is similar to the other. But in the ceiling, there was something new. So in the ceiling, we placed a series of cameras that started to digitize anything that was happening in the store. We started to collect information on everything that the customers were doing in this space, collecting data regarding their movement, the interaction with their pieces. And we started to use this data to inform campaigns for the retailer in terms of dynamic pricing, custom campaign, management of the resources. And it was still a moment where we were in between. This is Noumena instead. Pure Tech, you saw it with the material, La Máquina is the 3D printing. And in Noumena, here we were still in between the software and the hardware. This is when you are still young, no? You need to decide what you want to do when you get older. And in this case, we were building our cameras, implementing in the cameras a sensor for humidity, light sensor, CO2, and visual sensors. And this is a little bit how we were working. So we were crossing the VPN boundaries, collecting information, analyzing and processing information then back in Europe from Saudi, extrapolating through post-estimation every single information related to the interaction with the product. Then another project designed by Carmelo and external reference, we created in the summer of 2024, we created 23. We created an installation with 4 different spaces. Every space was used by Autogrill and Avolta as an offer to the different airports to open a new restaurant, a new sneaker store, a new museum, or a boutique. 4 different places, 4 different materials that we had to fabricate with, 4 different morphologies, and 1 month of work. So the design arrived in the end of July. We installed many robots the first week of August, and we shipped everything on the 8th of September. So another challenge that you always need to overcome is to make sure not only that you can make it, but that you can make it on time, because when the ship leaves, you better be on it. But on top of every single room, we also placed something that you saw before. We placed our digital sensor. So we started with Noumena data to collect, again, information from the interaction with all the spaces. And we started to use all this data also to create a front end where we could render this information, use a spatial segmentation that allow us then to trace back to the different user of the space in a very specific spatial location. Build a data report that also was telling us which is the customer profile, segmenting customers through age, gender, and using also this tool to manage the resources. But on top of it, we started the next step, which was to collect the information for the future. So creating a historic library of data, spatial data that we could use to then start to configure future stores based on the 3 verticals that we were considering as more critical. So the gender mixity, the product interaction, and probably the spatial occupancy. So from these 4 different spaces that you saw before, we just inaugurated one of the real stores in the airport of Abu Dhabi. So a sneaker store designed again by external reference. This time the scale is completely different. So we fabricated every single component as one unique piece with our robots that can reach more or less 3 meters in terms of height. And in terms of retail, also we opened some years ago Wow in Madrid, again hacking the 3D printing for introducing these gradients. Again, a project designed by external. And in 2023, in parallel to the due-free project, we also were running another fight, which was how to implement 3D printing in a space that is highly regulated. So we converted 3D printing into a series of products that are complying with the BS1D0 fire certification that before was not existing. And we certified every single component, all the blades that you see that are part of this store in the airport of Fiumicino in Rome. But the nice part, the funny part, was also how we were printing it. So not only 3D printing is not only just a bunch of Gigo that works on a planar way, it's not only a game of customizing planarity, but it's also it gives you using a 6-axis robot also the possibility to adapt to external bodies and in producing in the robot coordinate external bodies that you can use as a mold for fabrication. Then here in Barcelona we did this small store of La Manso with a highly complex geometry. It's just a sculpture. We recently opened the Tecnalia Center in Bilbao, which I still don't have the final pictures, but apparently it's good. In terms of hospitality, design with external reference, this is with Carmelo. We did this restaurant in Zurich and in Lucerne. And the nice part here is that instead of hiding the gap, we started to make it visible and use it also in a very engineering way, in a pragmatic way, to control and hide the air circulation system. So all the control of the comfort, the air quality comfort, is done behind this roof. And everything was printed in cellulose-based material and coated with PureTech. Here in Barcelona, we did also this project for the W Hotel, a ceramic wall. At the end was very simple, but at the end it was the first time that we were printing so many pieces before the Natural History Museum, and we had to deal with the shrinkage of this ceramic that is really alive. It's a material that is kind of unpredictable, but we had to control the gap in between the different tiles and make sure that you were in the range of 13%, but also you were in control over a curved geometry. I don't know if it reminds you anything. And it was another of these experiments that we did, hacking the machine of WASP, placing it on a 6-axis robot, and then starting to use the robot to print in multiple areas. Then, in a project with external here, we did the Real Madrid, the Santiago Bernabeu restaurant of Mao. And this was a project where we just placed a collection of products all together. So it's a place where we fabricated in polymer an entry position, a gallery for the entrance, mixing also the part of multimedia. In ceramic, instead, we did all the tiles for this wall. We did all the tables, introducing a top resin finishing. And the nice part is also that these kind of tables that we did with a non-planar approach that allow us also to control the gap in between the joints. But the thing that no one of my competitors saw coming was this. And this is the Trojan horse of 3D printing. So in 2024, one of the largest retailers of the world, now it's the largest, came to me with the idea of introducing 3D printing in their solution. And we just created an alliance with them. The group is HMI and ETAB. It's a big group that owns more or less the 70% of the sector of retail and fit out of Spain, and now is in a very similar manner the one of the world. And here we placed one factory, a micro factory of La Máquina, in their huge facility. 55,000 square meters is like a small city scale. It's 1,000 people more or less working there. And this is our beautiful Trojan horse that is remotely controlled. Here in Barcelona, there is the Fab Lab Barcelona, no? that comes from this idea of distributed manufacturing. But when I founded the Fab Lab in Italy in 2014, we had this idea of hacking the industry and shifting from a localized model of production to a distributed model. The problem about the Fab Lab was the diversity of technologies that were offered. CNC, laser cutting, it was a school. So an instrument, a space that was more meant for dissemination of this culture rather than the initiation of an industry. Instead, we went very vertical on the part of 3D printing. And now we are remotely controlled spaces that we can place everywhere, substantially. We have one of our robotic operator that is working in Zaragoza, and we are about to open more spaces in London and in Emirates. But another alliance that I did was with Baumit, which is one of the largest industry for concrete production. And here with them, we started to fabricate components in concrete. So in a couple of weeks, we will be introducing also this technology in our factory. So at the end of the day, now there are these two slides I never seen in my life, but yeah, apparently, the trend, it's an industry happening. So this is a little bit the trajectory that we've been tracing in these 13, 14 years. And the best is yet to come.
Spectacular. I don't have any question.